Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the grand finale of TCS iON IntelliGem 2022. Before we begin, may I please request and welcome Ms. Shalini Gopal Krishnan, Head TCS iON IntelliGem, to set the ball rolling.
Happy New Year and a warm welcome to one and all to the national grand finale of the 4th edition of TCS iON IntelliGem. I take great pleasure today in greeting all the students, parents, educators, friends and families who have gathered, of course safely from their homes, to cheer and support the finalists of TCS iON IntelliGem. Hearty congratulations to all our finalists. Since its inception in 2018, IntelliGem has evolved into a meticulously and beautifully structured contest designed to inculcate the much needed 21st century skills mindset in our younger generation. That would be the pillars of the future. The topics, the rounds, the evaluation have been diligently put together by a team of experts. The journey of the student from the day they register with us, navigating through the various rounds, is as exciting for them as it is for us. The fun-filled learning experience in the IntelliGem student community has been immensely enriching, as echoed by the students themselves. Even though every student may not reach the pre-final and final stages of the contest, we have tried to make sure that they take back with them a very rich learning experience. And that is what IntelliGem stands for. Every child is a gem. At TCS, we are proud that TCS iON IntelliGem is the only largest national level contest on the 21st century skills in India, with a focus to nurture the nation builders of tomorrow. And we are thankful to all the schools and educators who have made this wonderful journey possible for us by extending their support and guidance at every stage. So without much ado, I would hand over the mic to the host and let the finale begin. All the very best to our finalists. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my pleasure to once again welcome you to the grand finale of the 4th edition of TCS iON IntelliGem, an innovative national contest to unearth the gems of tomorrow. We are gathered here for the finale of Communication Skills category Junior Level Competition, brought to you by TCS iON in partnership with STEP from the Hindu Group. Let me begin by introducing our most esteemed panel of jury for the day. Ms. Nitya Lohit is a training manager at the Hindu STEP, where she manages all the training programs. She designs and develops material for face-to-face training across various levels, develops online resources for teacher development, and has conducted teacher training workshops. She also engages with learners through webinars, one-to-one coaching, and in large classrooms. Previously, she worked with Teach for India as a full-time teacher to children in an under-resourced school for 2 years. Through this experience of teaching in classrooms and working with key education stakeholders like students, principals, and parents, she has an understanding of the grassroots realities of India's education system. Prior to this, she also has over 4 years of experience as a software engineer. She holds a degree in electronics and communication engineering from Anna University. Ms. Tara Mohan is the assistant content editor at STEP from the Hindu Group. She completed her Masters in English Literature at English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad, and worked as a teacher for 5 years. She has experience handling different kinds of curricula like IB, ICSE, and CBSE. She has also completed CELTA certification. Currently, she creates English language teaching and learning content for STEP and is also involved in teacher training projects offered by STEP. Ms. Shailaja Ramesh is a content manager at STEP. An avid reader, her passion for English led her on a path which took her all the way after graduating with a master's degree from the Ethiraj College for Women to the National University of Singapore, where she pursued a doctoral degree in English literature. Her stint in Singapore also opened up the world of education and pedagogy for her. Having worked at Cambridge Assessment English, she brings a rich insight into the needs of English learners in India. And now, for our most important guests, our finalists. They have successfully made it to the grand finale after proving their mettle in 3 challenging rounds. Please put your hands together to wish them luck for the grand finale. Welcome, Sakshan Ghosh from Delhi Public School, Sector 45, Gurgaon. Ronav Patri from Indira National School, Pune. Dikshita Krishnan from Sri Kumaran Children's Home, CBSE, Bangalore Urban. Asmi Ghatame from Delhi Public School, Sector 45, Gurgaon. It's finally time to begin. Get ready for part 1 vlog. Participants were asked to create an innovative 1-minute introductory video which they sent in earlier. Let's have a look at our first candidate's vlog. Candidate 1, Sakshan Ghosh from Delhi Public School, Sector 45, Gurgaon.
I am a fan of mysteries and hence would like to introduce myself in an encrypted manner which needs to be decoded. Here I go. Born in the city of joy in the year India won the World Cup for the second time, I, the witness of the world, was brought up in the posh city of one of the greatest teachers in Indian mythology. Despite having a unique name, I couldn't escape a pet name, which is a practice prevalent among the lovers of rasagullas. You wouldn't believe it, but I'm named after one of the most widely used search engines, which has been the savior of many a researcher. Wielding proudly the logo of Service Before Self on my uniform, I got ready to go into middle school in the next session. Some of my interests range from astronomy to gastronomy and from the cellulite to print. Anything that satiates my hunger for knowledge, entertainment and food alike. Thank you.
Moving on to the next candidate, Ronav Patri from Indira National School, Pune.
Hi, my name is Ronav Patri. I live in Pune and study in 5th standard from Indira National School. My father works in TCS and my mother is a housewife. I love all kinds of sports and basketball is my favorite sport. I would like to thank TCS iON for giving me the opportunity to express my skills, and the experience was great and I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronav, for that interesting insight into your life. Now moving on to the third candidate, Dikshita Krishnan from Sri Kumaran Children's Home, CBSE, Bangalore Urban.
Hi, I am Dikshita Krishnan. I study in 6th grade, Sri Kumaran's Children's Home in Bangalore. I love my school, especially my English teacher, Jayanti ma'am. She gives us opportunities to speak in class. This promotes our communication skills. I love to learn new languages. I also like to read books too. My favorite authors, they are Sudha Murthy and Roald Dahl. My favorite sports are badminton, roller skating and chess. I also like to do arts and crafts, hear and sing songs, do dance and play the keyboard. I am really happy to be participating in the TCS IntelliGem Grand Finale. I am really looking forward to it. Thank you!
Thank you, Dikshita. That was a wonderful presentation. Now moving on to the fourth candidate, Asmi Ghatame from Delhi Public School, Sector 45, Gurgaon.
Hello everyone, I am Asmi Ghatame, and if you're wondering what my name means, my name Asmi means self-confident, which I am. My sister says that I am a brat, spoilt by my parents, while I think I am an independent person with a mind of my own. I like reading books about history and mythology, and recently read Mrityunjay and Shriman Yogi. I also take a keen interest in European history and am passionate about astronomy. My role model is Elon Musk. During the lockdown, I gained another hobby, painting. I use watercolors and acrylics, and my favorite painter is Vincent van Gogh. I also play lawn tennis as a physical exercise. I am very grateful to have the opportunity to participate in the grand finale today. Thank you.
Thank you, Asmi. That was indeed a wonderful presentation. I must say, all the introductions were quite innovative. Wonderfully done, participants. Now, let's move on to part 2, group discussion. You will have 10 minutes for this round. The topic will be revealed now, and here it is. How has the lockdown imposed during the COVID-19 pandemic affected school children? The time limit for part 2 is 10 minutes.
I think this lockdown has affected the school children a lot because of the fact that we aren't able to go to our school, of course. But not only that, I also think that we have been disconnected from the outside world. And we're not as social as we used to be before the lockdown. And it has also affected us in our studies because of the fact that quite some students can cheat during exams. But not only that, we cannot see our teachers properly, and we may not be able to communicate with them how we are able to do in schools when we are there physically. Not only that, but I also think that both there are pros and cons. Of course, the lockdown is terrible because we aren't able to see each other. But during the lockdown, pollution levels may have reduced because of the fact that many people are not going out when it is not necessary for them to do so. And it is another thing is that many students, another thing is that many students aren't able to access this in rural areas because in many rural areas people do not have laptops or computers, and this affects many children because of the fact that they are not able to access their education the way they're supposed to. And this is very much a con because of the fact that they cannot study, and this will make problems in the future, and they may not be able to work when they may not be able to study properly when they return back to physical school. I would like to invite all of my other participants to speak with me.
Yeah, what you said is correct. I agree with you. And also, there are some pros because our school is still doing well, and our school still gives us experiments, activities. We still do those stuff. But as you said, there are cons, and not everybody is able to access. And also, the pollution levels decrease. So, that's a really good point that you said.
This is Sakshi, and I would like to introduce another thing. A lot of our schools may not have been very affected by the lockdown because they are students who were capable of just switching on their laptop or phone or tablet or whatever and just go to and just take the classes, right? But a lot of schools have been affected in the way that rural schools particularly have been affected in the way that even though they have the capability to run online classes, the students themselves who do not have the capability, since there are no students there, those schools are having to shut down, right? The
Yeah,
schools are
that's
having to shut down. And also one more thing is that you know most of us, although it is there are many, before in the earlier stages of the lockdown, in the tests and all, it was very easy to cheat. But nowadays there are different technologies, and even MS Forms or not Google Forms, I don't know about that, but in MS Forms you can see if someone is in another tab or looking up something, so I don't think the cheating is much of a problem anymore.
So, in the rural area, the pandemic might have affected the students a lot because everyone doesn't have devices. But the people who have devices, it's not affected that much. Yeah, you can cheat in online exams because teachers can't monitor what you're doing, but other than that, the education which people get is still the same. The syllabus is same. It's not changed much.
Another
One
thing
thing
I think is that
I would like to say one thing is that the some specific topics, especially computer science and a lot of other topics in schools, have been easier to communicate. And someone was saying that one of my peers here was saying that some people can't communicate with the teacher, but I think it is the complete opposite nowadays. Nowadays you can communicate with teachers at any time. Even in the middle of the day you can communicate with them through email. During the classes you can communicate with them by just raising your hands, or you can just interject in the middle of anyone speaking.
I
And
think
you can
that's
call them up or WhatsApp them at any time. Right,
I
while before you could only contact the teacher while they were in school, or until a specific time period. And my mother is a teacher and she just gets calls throughout the day, from different students, and lots of emails from different students who are confused about the topic. So I think the students have not been affected in the way that they can't communicate with the teacher.
Another thing, I think that this has also affected the school staff. Like Sakshan said, his mother is a teacher. But other than the teachers themselves, there are many other jobs that are required, like maybe your auto drivers, or the ones that send you to schools, or the bus drivers, or maybe the maids that clean the school.
The
They have
janitors.
been very much affected because their jobs are not needed in online schools. But
So
again,
what
it is
I
their
want
high livelihood, and it very much affects them. And maybe they have their own families, and it will again cause problems for them because
Yeah,
their
and
income has been cut short.
Yeah, and another thing, there's only been like a few problems for the school, right? And another problem is that the income that they usually get from the bus, right? Because a lot of schools have a bus system, and there's a certain fee for going on the bus. There, it was a little bit of income, but everyone is hopeful that COVID will eventually go away, right? And they need to maintain the buses because it's not like they can buy brand new buses because that would cost more, right? So the income that they would get from people driving the bus would probably end up going towards the buses themselves and maintaining the buses. But since there is no income right now, the buses, even though the buses still have to be maintained, but the income from the buses actually running is no longer there. So that is one problem.
so what I want to tell is that in the COVID pandemic, online classes have eliminated subjects like physics, chemistry, and biology as we can't do any practicals, and in those subjects, experiments are very key to success, like in biology, in chemistry, in physics. We have all these experiments at school, but in online classes, we can't. That's a
Uh,
big problem in online classes.
I don't think that's very much true.
The thing with that is nowadays there are also many technologies. See, in school, there were many things that weren't able to be experimented. I'm not going to talk about that. I've already covered that. But you are saying that biology has been affected. You're saying that it has been eliminated. That's not the truth. In fact, what has happened is it has become easier to do that because the teacher at any time can just look up a simulation
And I
on the
think
internet
that
and they can just show how it works.
and I also think I don't think science or any other subjects have particularly been affected because there is no physical school. Anytime the teacher can go on the internet and find a good video for us to see in real life,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they also make PPTs, and there are other animations that they can show. I don't think that is
And also,
particularly been
there are,
affected.
and also
And
you can have
also they sometimes give activities with daily things, something that we can access at our home very easily. And I don't think because of that it is a problem to do this, but
chemistry may
I
have
don't
been
know.
like a little bit affected, but not that much since most of chemistry is just formulas and all. And you said physics, but physics is just like physics at our level, at least at our level. Physics is gravity and stuff like that. Essentially, very basic physics, and those things can be easily practiced at home. Like magnetism, gravity, electricity is not a part of physics, but it's in that same area. So I don't
Yeah,
think it
but
has
Another
been
thing is that
affected
I have
much.
an older
yeah,
sister, and she does practicals because it's necessary for her. So a problem, I think I could agree with Rana on the fact that sometimes, let's say you're having a chemistry practical, but you can't access these chemicals very easily, of course, and they cost a lot of money sometimes. And that can be a problem, but I don't think that's happens a lot of times because many schools actually provide them physically before the online classes, but I don't think that's
And also in
necessary.
textbooks and in books and in basically videos, and it can be demonstrated how they work. Since there are obviously videos from before the COVID era, and there are other people in the school who have also done those things. And the videos basically, instead of doing the practicals, a good replacement is videos, because the videos show the result. Or even though you aren't doing them yourself, which could take away from a single aspect, an aspect of doing practicals, which is you're understanding it, you're doing it yourself. The videos themselves are a very good replacement, and it is a
And
replacement.
Yes,
I
but
don't
That's
think,
right.
when we
but I don't think
imagine I'm in a higher standard, I don't understand the topic in the subjects like physics, biology, and chemistry. So practicals are very good for that. You also do it and you can also understand it. But in online classes, you can't do that. Videos might help, but they don't help as much as practicals, I think.
studies have been very much affected for students because the teachers still teach them, and it has actually perhaps gotten better because of again videos, PPTs, and online resources.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
another thing, we're kind of getting caught up on the subjects thing. Another one is
Finalists, you have 1 more minute left.
oh yeah, you had mentioned that social life. Well, the social life was a problem, in the beginning of the lockdown and in the beginning of the pandemic. Nowadays, since we have now discovered all these different places of communication, and now the social life is not as big of a problem. But I can definitely see your point, since I haven't talked like a single word with my classmates other than during the classes, of course.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
haven't been able to talk with our school friends very much. But again, hopefully, when the COVID is over, we can meet them, and that is, I don't think, very much solvable. Of course, we
Yeah,
can call them if we have
yeah.
their number or
But only
text
if you
them.
know them very personally. Like a lot of
Yes,
the new people in
exactly,
my
of
class, I
course.
don't know
We
them
don't know when
directly.
COVID will end.
Parents won't allow them to just give their number to anybody, right? So that is a
Yeah,
We
problem.
don't know
I
when
mean,
COVID will
they would
end.
allow them, but like it's kind of hard, and there are,
Yeah,
to get
I
them
see, and I
across.
think,
Basically, you need to be close friends with someone to be able to talk with them on the
Yeah.
same level
I
as
think in
you.
conclusion that this has very much affected
Thank you,
students, but
finalists. Your
not.
time's up.
Those were some insightful comments from our young participants here. After that thought provoking session, we move on to part 3. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Each participant will be shown 3 unconnected pictures. Using these, you have to create a story. You will have 1 minute to think and up to 3 minutes to tell the story. Any questions? Wonderful. Let's begin. Sakshan Ghosh, here are your pictures.
The new castle that the prince was building was like no other. It had trains and roads passing through it, as well as a state-of-the-art hot air balloon travel system. Tourists from all over the realm came to this location to see it via uh, various methods of uh, via, via various methods of traveling. Even though using a camera was not allowed inside, the palace's royal portrait drawer portrait makers charged just $10 for a whole sketch of the inside of the palace. Only people who are only people who are either relatives of the prince Only people who are either relatives of the prince or are good friends of the prince are allowed to take a camera or any technology inside. The inside of the palace is made out of metal to make sure that it cannot be penetrated quickly. It has a system to easily close the door before anything dangerous can get in. Before anything dangerous can get in, and the armor of the prince's guards, while it may look archaic, it is the only the outside plating is made out of metal and the inside is made of bulletproof material. This castle is a fort and a tourist destination at the same time.
That was an imaginative take on your pictures. Thank you for that, Sakshan. Now moving on to the next candidate, Ronak Patri. Here are your pictures.
It was a very charming night. After working endless hours in the office, I would have finally be comforted at my home. I went at the kitchen, made some food for my kids. After eating all of the food, I went to sit down and I searched in my computer. In my computer, I was curious to know what we can make with paper and why so many people are wasting paper. So after searching up, I saw a craft idea to make clothes out of paper. So after that, I went up with some paper. I saw a YouTube video where it showed that how to make a cloth by paper. So I watched the video. I found out that it was a very innovative and creative idea. So I started making it along. It was a hard experience because I never had did that kind of thing in my work. So I started doing it. After trying a lot, I finally made it a proper cloth. I tried it on myself and I didn't look that beautiful, but I knew that I could progress. So days passed by. I starting making the paper. So with the clothes, I experimented a lot. Some were good designs, some had bad designs, some had good designs for me. So after taking a lot of days off my work, it finally paid off. I made a perfect dress for me. I tried it on and I found something very nice. The design, how I made it, the paper, it was so good. So I thought to myself, why don't I sell this? So I sold this. It didn't go good, but weeks, months, and a year passed by, but nothing happened. I was going to give up, and my husband supported me endlessly, encouraged me to go back and wait for something to happen. By listening to his words, I was motivated. So I went back to selling.
Thank you, Ronak. That was an interesting way to look at those pictures. Now moving on to the next candidate, Deekshita Krishnan. Here are your pictures, Deekshita.
So there was once a man called Jack. He loved camels. He lived in the desert, so he had camels for pets. And then one day he went to a fair and saw a merry-go-round. Then he saw the horses and thought, why not create a design for camels? His ambition became this, and he started off thinking ways and he started thinking of ways to do this. After months, years of hard work, he finally invented what he had dreamed to invent. At first, the idea was not a success, but a few years later, the idea began to become a big success. So, many more people came to him for more ideas and he started creating for more animals. And later, he became a very rich person. And when he met his friend who was already rich, he saw him spending money like water. So he said, my dear friend, money does not grow on trees. You should know how to use it wisely. Otherwise, you will become poor and suffer. So, he said, and he left. The friend who did not take the advice of Jack seriously kept spending money like water and one day became very poor. Then he realized that Jack's words were true and that money is precious and should not be spent like water, even if you're rich. So he went to Jack, who gladly gave him some money, and after that, both the friends lived a happy life after.
That was a wonderful take on those pictures, Dikshita. Thank you. Now moving on, Asmi Ghatame. Here are your pictures.
Once upon a time, there was a man named George. He was not very rich and lived in a poor neighborhood. He was simply a college student and did a part time job to pay his college fees. And he had no parents either since he was an orphan. He lived in a poor neighborhood and had to climb a ladder every day just to back to his apartment. One day, George decided that he had had enough of his life and decided to settle in a good neighborhood and make his living, make a earning. Then George went to a coastal area where there were beaches were rampant and it was famous for beaches. Then one day George decided to go to the beach since it was very famous. And when George went to the beach, he saw many children playing, people trying to get a tan, and he decided that maybe he could profit off of this. Since he was not earning very good money by doing a job at McDonald's that he decided to open his own restaurant at the beach since he saw that so many people were coming there. And surely many people would come to his restaurant after a good day of staying at the beach. Then George decided to open his restaurant, but he needed funds. And for that, he started to make more money and started saving his money. And when he finally had enough money to open his restaurant, he started making construction work. And when the restaurant was finally complete and he opened it for business, he saw that many people were coming. But he also saw that there were not a lot of things that he could think of to serve on his menu. So he decided that this city has so many delicacies that are special to it, I shall only serve them. And since many tourists would come to the beach, they would be interested in eating the delicacies of this certain city. And then George's business started booming. And then he decided that he should try to make his food more widely available. And after that, he started to sell his food online on delivery apps. And when that happened, he started to earn even more money. And then he always made a to-do list. And in his to-do list, there were so many things.
Asmi, your time is up.
That's an intelligent way to look at those pictures, Asmi. Thank you. I think that this session jogged all of our imaginative capabilities. Thank you, participants. Now, are you ready for the final round? Let's begin. Part 4, Block and Tackle. This round will test your debating capabilities even further. Participants will be invited to speak one by one. As they speak, the judges will alternate between the commands of block and tackle. You will need to deliver for arguments when the judge says tackle and deliver against arguments when the judge says block. The topic was already shared with you and will be shown on screen as you speak. Teachers are more important than soldiers for a country.
Tackle.
Teachers nurture minds and instill a sense of patriotism in them, which then allows them to become soldiers. Since this patriotism is instilled by the teachers, they are a required part in the system, and they have since teachers instill patriotism into the students, in fact, and then the students who are now patriots go on to become soldiers. Teachers are required for soldiers to exist in the first place.
Yeah.
Teachers are
Block.
okay. The soldiers protect the nation, which is necessary for teachers to exist and to continue teaching. Which is necessary for teachers to exist and to continue teaching. Without soldiers, teachers wouldn't be safe to create anything, as at any time an opposing country could invade and stop the progress of a class.
Tackle.
Teachers give soldiers the basic skills as well. If a soldier doesn't know, basic first aid, if a soldier doesn't know physics, let's say for example a sniper. If a sniper doesn't know physics, then the sniper cannot be competent, as you need to learn those things. And those basic things are not taught in any fighting school. Only, combat skills are taught in fighting schools, not basic block. Uh, look, there are some countries which wait, no wait. Soldiers are the foundation on which the prosperity, culture, and peace of a country depends. If a soldier isn't there, then opposing countries can invade at any time, and the peace of a country cannot be maintained.
Thank you, Sachin.
Okay, thank you.
That was an intelligent and nuanced understanding of the role a teacher has and the role a soldier has in the building of a nation. Here we have our second candidate, Ronav Patri from Indira National School, Pune. Your topic was online mode of schooling is less effective than offline mode.
Okay, Rona, you can start with block.
Offline classes might not be favored by students, but offline online mode of schooling is less effective. Some of the reasons are during the pandemic, during the pandemic, online schooling has taken a center stage in the student's life. It also provides more flexibility to the students and teachers. In online schooling,
Tackle.
they cannot impose time management. It provides more distraction and doesn't have a fixed and strict schedule. Students are less connected to their studies and there is more distraction. Offline provides face-to-face interactions and builds an environment of studying, whereas in online classes you don't have the environment because you meet digitally. In the online education, teachers cannot monitor the behavior and responses of the students, and because of which they cannot address them when they need to. Online education doesn't provide online schooling has a cost effective and time saving method because you do not have to travel by bus and people can access online classes by sitting in their home. That brings us to our second point. By attending online classes, you can get all the study materials which you need to study. In online classes, you can also set the pace of learning.
Tackle.
As in online education doesn't provide a practical environment for chemistry, biology, and physics. In offline learning, it is easier to ensure the attention of the students, whereas in online, you cannot even see what the students is doing as he has closed his camera. Some
Okay, Rono,
students,
thank you. Your time is up for this round.
okay, ma'am.
There was a balanced and understanding perspective on a very pertinent issue of online education. Thank you for that. Now, moving on to the next candidate, Deekshita Krishnan from Sri Kumaran Children's Home, CBSE, Bangalore Urban. Your topic was all 18-year-olds should undergo military training for at least 1 year.
Dikshita, you can start with tackle.
They should undergo military training as citizens can help in case of natural calamities such as earthquakes, floods and others. They can help other citizens to survive these difficult times. Also, they can help in maintaining peace with other countries and they can also help in protecting the country if ever a war or a need arises. So this is really essential if any difficulty arises in the country. The citizens, if all are trained, they can help themselves as well as their society. At the age of 18, you have lot of educational opportunities. Certain people may want to go abroad for their higher education and certain may get opportunities to study in good colleges. But because of drafting, certain people may lose these opportunities as they don't come back, and you should always make the best of your opportunities when you have them. So, this is a really big disadvantage of this. Also, they have confined freedom in the military as they are restricted in certain things, and this is definitely not good because freedom is required for people, and so since they're restricted it is not good. And also some people may misuse the training or techniques they learn in the military training. If they misuse these techniques, it's dangerous for the whole country as well as other countries and other places. And certain people may be facing health difficulties. This will prevent. Also, the people taking military training can learn discipline, such as punctuality, being organized, and other important skills. They will also develop important leadership qualities, such as being confident, being able to handle other people without getting into a quarrel, and others. They can also stay fit if their health permits, as military training is. Certain people may have health difficulties. This may prevent them from attending this tedious training, and this may be bad for their health. Sometimes accidents may occur during their service. So this will make them struggle for their whole life. So this is a negative point for them as it spoils the whole life. And also, democracy gives people utmost freedom.
Thank you, Dikshita. Your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Those were some balanced and rounded arguments about the topic. Thank you for that. And now moving on to our final candidate for the junior round. Asmi Ghatame from Delhi Public School, 45, Gurgaon. Your topic was written exams should be replaced with practical exams.
Asmi will start with block.
So written exams allow children to express their thoughts more effectively, especially for socially awkward children who may not be confident enough to speak properly. And not only that, it also allows children to have more time to think than practical exams, as written exams are not spontaneous
Tackle.
but practical. Okay, ma'am. Written exams take into consideration the memory skills of a student while ignoring their learning capabilities and cause many students to use rote methods without properly understanding the subject or the chapter.
Block.
If written exams are not conducted, children will lose the habit of writing, and this will cause problems in the future as everybody needs to write as a part of their jobs, but also that writing is a critical communication skills that has existed since the ancient times. Another problem with practical exams is in the evaluation. So, evaluation of the practical exams does
Tackle.
not. Okay, ma'am. Every student has different capabilities, and a practical exam can help cater to students individually, as the examiner can judge the exam to some extent to help the student. Not only that, a study was conducted in which students of class 5 were given a test to answer, and it was found that many students were still stuck in the previous classes. And since every student has different learning capabilities, written exams may not be able to adjust it for everybody.
Lock.
Evaluation in practical exams does not have a specific criteria to fill in, and then many teachers that have to assess their students. And this might bring in bias since some students may be disliked by this teacher while some may be liked. And since
Tackle.
practical exams use real time application skills, which allow students to understand how subjects can be applied in their day to day life. An example of this can be, let's say you're having a computer exam, and because of that, you don't necessarily need a book, and you can simply do it on the laptop. And this will be much more helpful because a book is only
Lock.
going to. Okay, ma'am. Written exams have physical proof and are recorded, while practical exams may not be recorded. And not only that, written exams also test people's thinking abilities and let also creating
Thank you,
capability.
Asmi. Your time's up.
Thank you, Asmi. That was quite spectacular. Please put your hands together for our wonderful participants. Congratulations to all our finalists. Thus, we come to the end of the finale of Communication Skills category Junior Level Competition brought to you by TCS iON in partnership with STEP from the Hindu Group. We look forward to seeing all of you again for the award ceremony and we wish you all the very best. Thank you, everyone.